think we're live, right? This is the 4th edition, I believe, of the countdown to 2021 March Madness as we inch closer to the thing happening.
What
this
thing?
is March 1st, so this is a big day, and I wanted to play a little
Greatest
bit of this.
month of the year.
It is definitely that, and there's many reasons why, obviously, not just the tournament, but, people forget about conference tournaments and they forget about spring training and all that stuff, right? It's very important.
And my birthday, I thought, okay.
I mean, I completely forgot about that, but here, I just wanted to give people a little taste. We don't own this music, but I wanted to play it over the mic. It's a remake of the.
Oh, no, we're getting DMCA'd.
This is fine.
Loud.
I hope people like that. I hope they like how loud that was.
You just blew out everybody.
Because I know you did.
Earbuds and you just blew their ears off.
Well, that's the way it goes. And I'll just throw this up there. This is March. And we welcome everybody to March because this is a great month. And anyone who thinks otherwise is a complete and total moron that I want nothing to do with. But I can't believe that we're only 13 days away from Selection Sunday.
That's crazy. Crazy.
Next week, we will be 6 days away.
We're going to have a tournament. That's all I care about.
Yeah, and I'm sure there'll be some bumps in the road as there is with the NCAA and how they like to screw things up. But if you look right now at the AP poll, which is a complete joke, so we're only going to spend a couple minutes on it. We have a new number 2. Michigan jumps Baylor, which isn't surprising. I think it's the right move with the way they do the AP poll. If you lose and the other team that's competing with you and close to you wins, that's how this works typically. So,
absolutely,
yeah. The Big Ten, 4 of the top 7 teams in the Big Ten. You could make the argument it should be 4 of the top 6, that Ohio State should be ranked higher than West Virginia. But, yeah. I mean, that's insane. And then you look at how much the Big 12 is involved in the 11 through 20. You have Kansas at 13, Texas at 15, Oklahoma 16, Oklahoma State 17, 18 Texas Tech. So, and then the other point, and we talked about this before we went on the air, why is Wisconsin still ranked? I don't get that.
Unbelievable. I can't even comprehend. Looks like BYU was the next team behind them.
5 points behind them, yeah.
Yeah.
And USC.
Weird.
Despite USC thrashing Oregon, they lost to Utah, so they wouldn't be ranked, I guess. It is encouraging to see that UC Santa Barbara has a vote. That's pretty interesting. I'm sure that's a West Coast writer who watches them. They're a really good team, but top 25s, come on. But it is encouraging to see that, and Connecticut only having 5 is a joke. They're a very good team. Don't care what anybody thinks. St. Bonaventure 16, that's a bit much. Tennessee 19 is way too much. Tennessee should have about as many as UC Santa Barbara has, which is 1. So, yeah, there's the AP poll. I've already spent more time than I would have wanted to on it. So we'll flip over to my top 30, which is the much better and more important deal here.
More accurate too, right?
Definitely, yeah. I don't really think anybody thinks otherwise if you look at my screen flickering. Gonzaga, Michigan, Baylor, Illinois, Ohio State. So I do have Ohio State still at 5. I mean, I don't think it's fair to drop them more than 1 spot because I don't think there's a team that should overtake them anyway. Mm-hmm. Because Michigan State loss.
Losing 3 in a row, I think, is what everybody looked at rather than who they lost those 3 to.
Yeah, that's what the AP poll does. It's not based on quality of wins usually.
Right.
So whatever. I did have to bump Loyola Chicago back a little bit to 15. They haven't been playing very well, so I think I had to do that. I have Texas Tech in the top 10. I really like them. San Diego State is getting a lot better. They're playing really well. Arkansas is another team that I probably could have had higher. I know that they're way up there in the AP top 25 now. I probably didn't do them enough justice. I obviously have UConn in because, come on. I mean, UConn's a top 25 team.
Sure. Well, you have them at 30 or 29, top 30 team. So.
That's what I would say. Rutgers is in there still. LSU, Missouri, Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech, North Carolina are close to the top 30. I know I said a lot of things about Georgia Tech last week after what their coach said about their conference. I do have them in the field today.
Now they're in, yeah.
Yeah. So there you go.
How's that make you feel?
There shouldn't be 11 teams in the ACC in the
I
tournament.
agree. I agree.
All right, let's put the whole conference in there. Let's put 7 and 16 Miami in there. Let's put Syracuse in there, who can't. Syracuse literally plays zero defense. Let's put them in there.
How many do they have in right now? You think 6?
7?
7?
I don't know.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I have them with 7.
Who's your 7th? Duke?
Florida State,
Clemson?
Virginia Tech, Virginia, Clemson, Louisville, North Carolina, Georgia Tech.
You have the top 7.
Yeah, Clemson is like a 3 on some people's boards. I have them as a 6, but a lot of people are fans of the Tigers. I really don't think they're that good, but their resume shows that they should be fairly high on there. So that's the way that is. Let's move away from this now. And the real question here is, are the Blue Bloods back? I don't know what people count as a Blue Blood. I know some people like count Georgetown as that. That's a joke. I think there's 5 main ones. Kansas, North Carolina, Duke, Michigan State, Kentucky.
I would agree with that.
Are
they back? Some maybe.
Kansas is way back.
Yeah, Duke, no. Michigan State, they beat Illinois, they beat Ohio State, and then they go and lose at Maryland. Maybe it's that home cooking.
They ran into a Maryland team that was even hotter than them.
Maryland is playing really
here's
well.
The other thing. Michigan State was terrible at the free throw line yesterday. And what was Maryland? 23 for 24.
Impressive.
So that made a big difference. And also, here's how I define these teams. Kansas is 100% in. They have really good wins and some not great losses, but who cares about that? North Carolina is in right now. I think that they're in a pretty good spot to make it. They beat Florida State on Saturday. Duke and Michigan State are both teams that I would define as firm bubble. I have Michigan State in. I don't have Duke in. Still some work to do. And then Kentucky I would define as dead unless they win the SEC tournament, which isn't that big of a long shot. They're 2-11 against quad 1 teams, which I was laughing at earlier, and they can be 2-11, which is just absurd. But the SEC is not good. If somebody could pick off Alabama, I give Kentucky a good chance. They have a ton of talent on that team. Sure. They've been playing better. They just can't close out games. So if they can find a way to close a game out, if they can get hot, they have a good coaching system, obviously. Calipari is a good coach, but I'm not trying to talk them up because I'm always a big fan of Kentucky teams. Like last year, I was obsessed with how good their guards were, and every single floater that went in.
For good reason,
shooting. Yeah. I thought that they would have made a big run last year, but I wouldn't count them out. Arkansas is probably the second best team in the SEC right now, and they've been a little bit inconsistent prior to this run that they've been on. So Kentucky's dead unless they win the SEC tournament because they are like 6-14 or whatever. But let's see. What else do I have here? Conference tournaments. There's been some games as I pull out the non-Power 6 conference tournament file. Need to check this out.
Do you keep that in your warehouse down there? Or?
I do. There's also a Power 6 one, which doesn't have any in there yet because there's no bracket. And there's a Devin Booker jersey behind me, 43 points last night. Thanks for coming. America East, there has been 2 rounds. So the semifinals will be on Saturday. We'll discuss. There's so many, like the Games of the Week segment might take an hour itself today. So that should be fun. Hartford beat Binghamton. So that's the 4 seed beating the 9 seed. You had Albany taking down NJIT by 10, a 5 beating an 8. And then UMass Lowell had a big comeback against Stony Brook, the 6 seed beating the 7. So no upsets there. Then Hartford beat Albany. And then UMass Lowell beat New Hampshire. So New Hampshire, the 3 seed in that tournament, is out.
Oh, wow.
So then on Saturday, we will see UBC.
Pick them to win.
You took Vermont. I took Vermont. So we're on the same boat here. UMBC will play UMass Lowell on Saturday. That'll be at 2 Eastern. And then Vermont and Hartford at 4 Eastern. Those are ESPN Plus games. So
thanks, ESPN.
Yeah, every conference tournament championship will be on like a real channel. Like ESPN 2 is what this will be on. But that's usually how they do it. Let's see. The Big South. One round done. High Point beat USC Upstate, and Hampton beat Presbyterian. So today we will have Winthrop, the 1 seed in the tournament, take on High Point. UNC Asheville, Longwood, a 4 and a 5 matchup there. Radford, the 2 seed in the Big South, will take on Hampton, and then Campbell and Gardner-Webb in the 3-6 matchup. And then finally, the other tournament that has had games is the Horizon. You had Detroit take down Robert Morris 83-73. Then you had Youngstown State beat Illinois Chicago 74-58. Then an upset by Fort Wayne taking down 7-seeded Green Bay 89-84. And then Milwaukee took down IUPUI 84-72. So tomorrow you will have Cleveland State, Fort Wayne, who I believe you picked to win this tournament, Cleveland State.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have Northern Kentucky, Detroit, Oakland, Youngstown State, and then Wright State, who I picked against Milwaukee. So that's where we're at in conference tournaments. So there's more starting this week, and they really all get going next week. I don't know how many there is this week. I'm trying to count this number here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 this week. So that's 15. So then I think we'll have 16 starting next week, if my number is
It is
correct.
March.
That is correct. Yes, it is March 1st, 2021 at 1:14 p.m. Central Standard Time. All right. Let's see. Starting this week, and we'll do this. I'll go through the list, and then we'll make our picks after I go through the list. So I'm just going to go by day here. Wednesday, we have the Atlantic 10, the Ohio Valley, and the Patriot League tournaments all starting. Thursday, we have the Atlantic Sun, the Missouri Valley, and the West Coast Conference. And then Friday, we have the SoCon and the Sun Belt. And then Saturday, the Summit, the Northeast, and the Colonial Athletic. And then on Sunday, we have the MEAC, the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference, starting on Sunday. So I don't know which tournament intrigues you the most, but I'm going to ask you right now, which one are you looking forward to the most?
Looking at them, the Atlantic 10, I think it's wide open. You have St. Louis, who hasn't been playing well. I think Dayton could still make a run. There's the top of the Atlantic 10. I think any of those teams could make a run.
Yeah, I've come to a couple conclusions on the Atlantic 10 this week. And number one is that none of the teams in the top 4 are any good. I kind of look at it that way now. VCU losing to Davidson and George Mason. I mean, that's
Right.
bad. St. Louis, I don't know what is wrong with this team. They're way too talented and experienced to not be as good as they should be. St. Bonaventure's been up and down. I don't know. They couldn't beat VCU that second time.
Right.
And then Richmond is just not what they were at the beginning of the season. And if you look outside of that, Dayton is pretty much they'll upset somebody. Here's what Dayton is. They'll beat like St. Bonaventure, then they'll lose by 40 to Richmond. So that's kind of what they do. Like they beat the hell out of St. Louis, and they've had some horrible losses.
Yeah.
So
it's very inconsistent. That's why I think that it's wide open. St. Bonaventure should probably win it, but
there's two that I'm looking at, and that's the Missouri Valley, which is always the greatest conference tournament in the mid majors for
St. Louis or what?
Well, I just think there's so many different things that happen. Like it's been a long time since the regular season champ hasn't won the Missouri Valley tournament in a long time. I don't know the exact stat. I'm just guessing. And then the SoCon. I'm a big fan of the SoCon. I don't know who's going to win that. It's very, very loaded at the top. I don't think the UNCG, who is leading it, is going to win it. So
Right.
I don't know. And the West Coast is interesting just because it's Gonzaga going to lose.
They only have to play 2 games. What are they going to lose?
It's structured so
BYU in
weirdly.
the championship. I mean, I think that's how they made it so Gonzaga and BYU would show up. Is because
probably.
They only have to play 1 game, and then they're probably going to play each other.
Well, I think it's kind of always been like that, though.
Yeah, you might be right.
Because last year Gonzaga almost lost to San Francisco, I think, in the semis.
Yeah,
they had a scare there, and then they killed St. Mary's, I think, to win the West Coast tournament.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's silly though. I mean,
the one that is going to be really ugly basketball is probably the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference. That's not going to be – and plus it starts on a Sunday. Who starts their conference tournament on a Sunday? Come on.
True.
It's a little bit weird. The Patriots going to be boring because it's like 2 teams that have an actual chance, and that's the toothpaste team and then the Navy. So
toothpaste.
Colgate, overrated garbage.
Best team in the net, bro.
What are they on the net these days, I wonder?
I don't know.
I'm going to take a look at that.
It's got to be 10.
I texted you earlier. How the hell is Houston at number 4 with 3 quad 3 losses?
I don't know. I've seen people saying that they should be number 1 or be a number 1 in the tournament. What do you think of that?
Okay, I thought they had.
Colgate is now number 9.
Did they update the net? Because I'm reading Houston with 1 quad 3 loss, which was to East Carolina, which is terrible.
Yes, 8-1.
Yeah,
5-1, 2-1.
I mean, 2-1 in quad 1 is enough to be number 4. Come on.
I think it's. I don't know.
Like why. Illinois is.
I think it's lack of
in
games. Don't you think? It's got to be part of it.
Yeah, but losing in quad 3 to East Carolina should automatically eliminate you.
I don't know how it works.
And being under 500 in quad 1 should also eliminate you from being in the top 5. Iowa, 5 and 6. No thanks. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, Kentucky is 65th in the net now. So how about that? They've been rising. 2-11 in quad 1. They have a quad 3 loss to Notre Dame that they were down 20 and should have won that game. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky, 5th in strength of schedule. So there you go. Okay, let's make our conference tournament picks here, and we'll start with the Atlantic Sun. And I think we'll probably go the same way on this one. I don't really know if there's anybody that can beat this team, but go ahead.
I'm going with Liberty.
Yeah.
I mean, does Bellarmine even get to play in it?
Let me pull out the bracket.
Because that would be interesting if Bellarmine won it and then
they are the 2 seed.
So they are playing it. So if they win, does it just automatically go to the guy that got second?
Here is what the bracket actually has a note on there that says, note, Bellarmine and North Alabama are ineligible for the NCAA tournament as transitional teams, but are eligible for the ASUN tournament. If either wins the tournament, the automatic bid will go to the regular season champion. So
okay.
Liberty doesn't even have to win the conference tournament to get in.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Which is probably fair. I mean, 20-5.
What else are you going to do?
Conference.
You can't just give it to the loser of the championship. If let's say Kennesaw State, who's not good, makes a huge run and loses to Bellarmine in the championship, you can't give Kennesaw State the bid. If you won a regular season title, you should get it. But I'm also going with Liberty. This team is elite offensively, 54th in the country in adjusted offense. They're actually really efficient in terms of 3-point shooting. They're 13th. 2-point shooting, they're 12th. Free throws are 29th. So, I mean, you look at their non-steal turnover percentage, 10th in the country. Not a joke, folks. Watch out. But, yeah, I mean, this is clearly the best team in the conference. Darius McGee is an excellent scoring guard at 5'9". So, he's not 5'2" like the UMBC guard, but 5'9", still a big deal. How about the Atlantic 10?
Like I said before, I think this is the most wide open one. I did say that VCU was the best team in Atlantic 10 2 weeks ago, so I'm going to stick with VCU, even though they're not playing the best basketball right now.
Yeah, I'm going to go with who I went with in the preseason, which is St. Louis. I just think something's got to give. I think at some point they're going to get going. They're going to be desperate. They're going to be realizing, you know what, we might not make the tournament if we, lose in this conference tournament. And I don't think they will make the tournament if they don't win the conference tournament.
Right.
They're the most balanced team in the conference, I think, other than maybe St. Bonaventure. You look at their defense is slightly better than their offense, but they're both ranked pretty well. 12-5 overall. They've only played 17 games. They're going to be fresh, you'd think, which is weird. This conference is so varied in terms of games played. Like St. Bonaventure 16, VCU 23, UMass has 12, Davidson 19, Richmond 19, George Mason 20. It's very weird. 13 games played by Fordham. So I'll take St. Louis. Best rebounding guard in the country, Jordan Goodwin. They have other experienced players like Hassan French. They have Javante Perkins, who I mentioned a couple weeks ago, that can get them going. He announced yesterday that he would be returning next year, taking advantage of the free year. So he's one of the first few players that has actually announced that they're doing so. It'll be interesting to see how many actually do that. Like, will a big profile guy like Luka Garza do it? I doubt it, but we'll find out. So I'm going with St. Louis. You're going with VCU.
Uh-huh.
Let's go now to the Colonial Athletic Tournament.
The CAA, I have James Madison.
I went off the board with this one.
Okay.
I am going with the number 4 seed in the tournament, Hofstra, to win this tournament because I think that their offense is good enough to cover up how poor their defense is.
Okay.
And they have a really good coach. I think, Joe McCallick has done a great job there. They do have some interesting losses. I mean, they lost by 4 twice to James Madison. But I think they're going to get it going. They have lost 3 of the last 4 coming in, but I still think they have enough talent up front, and their offense is really good for this conference at least. Jalen Ray has been one of the most used players in the country, 17 in percentage of minutes. He plays 91% of the minutes in the games on average. So I like this team.
I went with James Madison. Got beat by 1 to VCU earlier in the year, so that's why I went with them.
Early in the year means nothing now, but whatever.
They've also beat Hofstra twice, so
by 4. I mean, that's nothing. Whatever. Conference tournaments changes everything. The championship of this game will be on CBS Sports Network, by the way. So, shout out. This was an interesting tournament to watch last year. I remember I can't remember who won it, but it might have been Northeastern or Hofstra, one of those two. Anyway, the MEAC, which I said would have ugly basketball. Who are you taking?
Norfolk State. They're second in the conference, behind NCA&T. So I don't know how this works out. NCA&T is 7-1. Norfolk State is 8-4. NCA&T's overall record 11-10. Not great. And Norfolk State beat James Madison. I kind of got a thing going. VCU versus James Madison. Now James Madison, Norfolk State beat them earlier. They're 14-7 overall. They're on a 4-game winning streak, and they didn't play NCA&T at all this year. So going with Norfolk.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Coppin State in this tournament. They had some really bad spells. They're terrible offensively, but they play really hard defense. And I'm going to go with the defense wins championship method. They've won 3 in a row coming in.
They only got beat by 10 by Duke, so
and they lost by 30 to Virginia Tech, and they lost by 20 to Iona, and 17 to UMBC, and 32 to Georgetown. So very inconsistent team, but they do play pretty good defense overall, efficiency wise. Which all defensive efficiency is how many points you give up per 100 possessions against teams. So it's not that impressive, but they're also the fastest team in the country, number 1 in tempo in the country. So I'm going to roll with it. I mean, they do have some guys there that have had good seasons. I mean, if you have a 6'6" guard like Anthony Tark, who's shooting 52% from the field, that'll play. The problem for him is that he's shooting 56% from the line. So that's not good, and 32% from 3, but that's fine. Yeah, I'm going off the board. I don't know. They got 2 players on this team named Tark, so watch out. They did beat UNC Greensboro by 6, who's leading the SoCon, so shout out. Okay, the Missouri Valley.
I picked your team, Loyola Chicago. However, you did not, so big fan you are.
Well, I have 2 reasons for this, and part of it is because Loyola Chicago is playing very badly going into this tournament. They almost lost to Southern Illinois. They went toe-to-toe with Valpo and almost lost a couple weeks ago. And I'm also rooting for the
almost. It sounds like a win to me.
Yeah, but they're not playing their best basketball. If they were playing their best basketball, they would have beaten Drake both times, and they didn't. They're struggling to score right now, which is weird because they have the best big man in the conference and probably the best shooter in the conference. But whatever. I'm going with Indiana State. I'm rooting for the 3-bid MVC. Bring it. Which means I want Drake to get to the championship and lose, Loyola Chicago get to the semis and lose, and then Indiana State swoops in, wins the conference tournament, and you have a 3-bid Missouri Valley.
No way that happens.
I'm just saying the team that wins the regular season doesn't ever win the conference tournament in this one. And also, Indiana State's planning on firing their coach, Greg Lansing.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to save his job with this tournament.
Okay.
Which is weird that they are planning to get rid of him, even though the conference tournament hasn't even started yet. Interesting. Plus, 14-9 overall, 120th on KenPom is really not bad for the Missouri Valley. They're top 100 in defense. They're good defensively. They've had some really, really big streaks. They had a 3-game winning streak until they lost to Valpo last regular season game. Before that, though, they had a 7-game winning streak. They beat Loyola Chicago by 5 in January. So, you never know. They play Evansville in the first game. That's where it starts. You got to win your first game. I wouldn't be opposed to Bradley winning this conference tournament either, by the way. So, Bradley, who beat Drake.
High hopes.
Well, if I'm looking at the bracket here, the championship game is Sunday on CBS. So that's fun. You got Bradley, Southern Illinois, Northern Iowa, Illinois State starting on Thursday. So Loyola Chicago, or Bradley's going to win. They're going to have to get through Loyola Chicago if they want to do that. Indiana State would also have to get through Loyola Chicago in the semis. Mm-hmm. The good thing for Indiana State is if they win that game, they're right in the semis. Just win one and you're 1 game away from getting there. So I'm doing it. I don't care. I want the 3-bid MVC. What about the NEC, the Northeast?
The NEC. I got Bryant, regular season champs. They're on a 4-game win streak, and the NEC is just the top 4 teams. So just got to win 2 games. Easy peasy. Give me Bryant.
Yeah, I think Bryant will probably win, but I didn't go with them. I'm going with Mount St. Mary's. They lost to Bryant twice by 5. Good enough for me. Also, the VCU factor. They lost to VCU by 18.
So Mount St. Mary's is in over Merrimack?
Are they?
Heart? I don't know. I'm asking you.
Well, Merrimack is not tournament eligible, so I figured that they would have been. Maybe they're not.
I don't have any clue. I couldn't find a bracket. I just saw that it's just the top 4 teams.
Yeah, well,
I hope you picked a team that's not even in it.
I just figured since Merrimack wasn't tournament eligible, they wouldn't put them in there if it's only 4 teams.
That's true.
Yeah, the women's team is in.
Well, that's good to know.
Maybe. Well, if they're not in it, then I'm going with Bryant.
I don't know. I don't have any clue. How do you even find something like that? Who's actually putting stuff about the NEC up, Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to find this before we go to the next conference, so I'll tell you that.
I'm looking. There it is, Wikipedia. It doesn't have anything.
This should be as easy as just making a phone call and you know the deal.
It makes sense for Merrimack not to be in it. Right? Merrimack, yeah.
I don't know what to do here.
I don't know. Go to the next one.
Let me see if Mount St. Mary's tweeted anything.
NEC Conference by the DraftKings. Here we go. When is it? Where is it? How can I watch it? Will fans be allowed?
Okay.
Thanks a lot, DraftKings.
Mount St. Mary's last tweet said, "In a season like no other, we're excited to continue our journey. Qualified 2021 NEC tournament."
Nice.
So, pick remains valid. Give me the team that barely got in, Mount St. Mary's.
That was a close one. It got in by default.
The Ohio Valley Conference.
The OVC. They're doing 8 teams, I believe. Belmont's on a 2-game losing streak, so I'm going to take Morehead State, who is taking a 4-game winning streak on, and they just beat Belmont in the regular season. So,
yeah, I am taking Belmont, but I was very close to taking Morehead State. Basically, what I put was Belmont, parentheses, watch out for Morehead State. So this will start on Wednesday, and Belmont and Morehead State will both play on Wednesday. Belmont will play SIU Edwardsville, which will be a 40-point bloodbath, and Morehead State will play SEMO, Southeast Missouri State, and that'll be another blowout. Those are ESPN Plus games, of course. Championship of this is Saturday on ESPN2. So, Morehead State, not a very efficient offensive team, but they play really well defensively. And you look at what they did to Belmont. I know Belmont came back in that game and forced overtime when they probably shouldn't have, because they were down like 4 with like 30 seconds left. But I'll take Belmont, but Morehead State's going to be close, man. And the question really becomes, if Morehead State beats Belmont in the championship, does Belmont get in?
That's a good question.
Because Belmont is pretty highly thought of.
Yeah.
I don't think they would, though. I mean, they're 81st in the net, and they haven't played a quad 1 game, and they have a quad 4 loss, so they probably wouldn't. I think they're good enough to get in, but their resume wouldn't let them in.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take Belmont. The Patriot League.
I took, the best team, not only in the Patriot League, but maybe in NCAA basketball right now. They're ranked 9 in the net. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're called Colgate.
Yes, I know of them, yeah. They're 9th in the net, 2nd in their own conference.
and I took them just because I know that it would make you happy.
I took them too. I'll take Colgate.
No, you didn't.
I did. I think that they're the best team in the conference, definitely, even though they I'd
like to see Navy get in, though. I like that'd be cool if Navy.
It would, but it's just like Colgate went 11-1 in conference. They would have been 12-1 if they played another game, probably. But 69th, which is nice in offensive efficiency, which is good for me.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't even play Navy, actually. And if you look at their stupid schedule, Army, Boston U, Holy Cross, Army, Boston U. Yeah. So they played 4 different teams over 12 games.
Right. Not great, but
actually 3 different teams. So, and the one game they lost was their second game of the year against Army. They lost by 2.
I'll be rooting for the forces, though. I'll be rooting for Navy and Army.
Here's the problem.
I will say that.
Like, they're 16th in 3-point percentage, 15th in 2-point percentage. Their free throw percentage 49th, block percentage 22nd, steal percentage 14th. Like, their metrics are so screwed up because of how little games they played and how they just beat up on everybody.
Well, yeah.
And the thing,
one of the worst teams in the league 4 times.
The difference between, if you look at their schedule, by the way, none of the teams that they played are ranked inside the top 200. So there you go. If you look at the metrics, the difference between KenPom and Haslametrics and stuff like that, and the net is that the net doesn't really have a metric to offset their opponents that they played or something, because KenPom, with all these stats, them being top 30 in all those stats that I just listed, 7th in effective field goal percentage, 5th in turnover percentage, they're still 92nd overall. So there's a metric there that can adjust things, and I guess the net doesn't have that. That's why they're 9th in the net. It really is so stupid, but it's 2021. We can't figure out the internet. Everyone that does the net is 95 years old, apparently. The SoCon. This will be one of the best ones to watch.
SoCon, yeah. Another one that's wide open. You look at it, and top 3 teams have all lost 5 games in the conference. The next 3 teams have all lost 7. So really, I think it's wide open. I'm going to go with Wofford, though. They're 3-game win streak coming in. I always like teams hot going into the tournament. So,
any of the top 5 teams in this conference could win this conference tournament.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would say even top 6 maybe, but
maybe even the Citadel,
I doubt it. So I also picked Wofford.
Nice.
This is a team that gets into the tournament when they get a chance.
Exactly, yeah. And they have a cool mascot.
I didn't really factor that in, but yes.
That's how I pick all my brackets, by the way. I look at the mascots, and no, I'm joking.
When Mike Young was there, before he went to Virginia Tech, they were really, really good. They competed with that Kentucky team that one year when they were a 7 and Kentucky was a 2 in round 2. But I like this team a lot. They split a series with UNC Greensboro. They beat Chattanooga by 18, who's the 4 seed. They beat Furman to end the season by 1. They beat them by 8 prior to that. They beat East Tennessee State by 5. Them losing to South Florida is a bit questionable. Probably a team they should have beaten. But
clunker.
Yeah, I don't know. Their conference losses aren't really bad. I mean, Citadel's not great, but UNCG, VMI, Chattanooga, ETSU are fine. But I'll go with Wofford. Always a good offensive team and always a really good 3-point shooting team. So right. I'll take them there. Let's go now to the Summit League.
The Summit. I took North Dakota State. I think this is another one that any of the top teams have a chance to win this. 1 through 4 or 5. So I went with North Dakota State. I'm not really sure why.
I went with South Dakota State.
Okay.
It was 55th in the country in adjusted offense.
Oh, wow.
Like them a lot. Now, I should note that they did lose to North Dakota State in their 1-game series or their 2-game series. They beat them once and they lost. They lost to South Dakota as well. You know what's weird? They only lost to West Virginia by 8, but they beat Utah State by 24. I mean, how did that happen? Utah State's, not a great team this year, but they're a upper top 5, Mountain West team. By the way, Western Kentucky's taking this game over. They're up 15, so they're going to be fine. Just a dominant second half as they needed. They did beat a bad Iowa State team by 3. They lost to St. Mary's. They beat Bradley, who isn't that good, but they also beat a team named Mount Marty by 43, so congrats. But yeah, really good offensive team. They play fast. They can shoot the 3-ball with anybody. They're 3rd in the country in 3-point percentage. Mm-hmm. So I like them a lot. I'll take South Dakota State. And they possess the ball better than any team in this conference. Really good to hold on to the basketball.
Like voodoo on it, or
exactly. The Sun Belt Conference. This is a tough one.
I took Coastal Carolina just because they have pretty colors. They're on the coast of the ocean. Am I giving good insight here, guys? Come on. No, Coastal Carolina. I think that I think they got a shot here. I don't really know a lot about the Sun Belt, so go ahead and give me some info.
I'm going to go completely off the board.
Oh, yeah. It takes like Texas Arlington or something.
Take South Alabama.
Okay.
For no reason.
Okay.
Just kidding. Okay. They had an 8-game winning streak before they lost to Georgia State twice. So just got to get in.
Yeah. I think this one, I don't really know much about this. I can't say that I've watched a Sun Belt game this year. So just kind of throwing it out there. So I like Coastal Carolina. Why not? I almost went to school there. My daughter almost went to school there. We both didn't go to school there, but hey.
They're good in football.
They are very good in football.
Yeah, Michael Flowers is one of the best players in this conference, and he plays South Alabama. They have a ton of talent. That's what I know about them. I watched them play Georgia State, and all I saw on the floor was talent.
Wow.
And I like both of those teams. And I know Georgia State's the #1 team in the conference. South Alabama is going to upset them if they play. They only lost to them by 3, then they lost to them by 9 when they played on the 26th and the 27th. Give me South Alabama. So much talent. I got to do it. I'm just going to go for it. Whatever. Last one. Wonder who's going to win this one. The West Coast Conference.
I took BYU.
There's no way you're taking BYU.
You're right. I took San Francisco.
Once again.
Obviously, I took Gonzaga. They got to play 2 games. One of them is going to be against, San Diego or something, and the other one's going to be against BYU, who they've pummeled at least once.
Yeah, the last time a couple weeks ago when BYU and Gonzaga played,
82-71 last time they played. So not
Gonzaga went up like 24-6, and you're like, oh my God, they're going to kill them by 70, and then it got pretty close, but. Yeah, there's no one in this conference even close. If you look at the West Coast Conference, all KenPom.com team, Timmy
All
Kifford,
Gonzaga. It's gonna
Suggs,
be
and
all
II. I mean, Alex Barcelo is on there for BYU, so shout out to him. But yeah, I
Good
mean,
job,
this
buddy.
team is so much better than everybody else in this conference, and I think they're better than everybody in the country. And there's been this whole Michigan Gonzaga thing going around. Just stop. I mean,
Maybe they lay down and so they can get 2 teams in. Who knows?
also shout out to Nicholas Beatty, and it is March. Yes,
It is March.
he tunes into a lot of our stuff and likes a lot of my tweets. So shout
Thanks,
out.
Nick.
Can
Can I call you Nick?
I don't see anybody beating them. Top 10 in adjusted offense and defense. Number 1 in offense now, by the way. 4th in tempo. I mean, good luck keeping up with them.
Yep.
I mean, Loyola Marymount got off to a pretty good start against them. How did that game end?
Not good.
With a Gonzaga 17-point win. And I just, another argument that I saw and I agree with, nobody in the country, Michigan, Baylor, anybody, nobody in the country would be in the West Coast Conference and win every single game handily, going away, every single game. Look at their wins in this conference. I know these teams aren't very good, but, 23-point win, 17-point win, 28-point win, 25-point win, 24-point win, 36-point win, 28-point win, 12-point win, 18-point win, 11-point win, 39-point win, 22-point win. Let's see, where else should I go? 37, 13, 17. They've killed everybody.
Right.
St. Mary's is not a bad basketball team. BYU's 22nd on KenPom. Santa Clara sucks. Pepperdine sucks, but they're not terrible. They're like Nebraska level. If you look at the Big Ten, that's what those teams are. And the only teams in the West Coast Conference that are just horrendously bad is San Diego, and that's about it. Loyola Marymount's almost top 100 on KenPom. So this narrative that
Portland hasn't won a game in the
nobody, they suck too. Yeah, I forgot to mention they're the worst. But nobody, I don't know why we have this narrative that Gonzaga plays in like the Colonial Athletic Conference, or the Patriot League.
And the thing, Gonzaga tries to make their schedule as hard as they can too.
Look at their non-conference.
Kansas, West Virginia, Iowa. They were supposed to play Baylor. I mean,
and Auburn's not bad.
Virginia,
they obliterated.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gonzaga is the best team in the country, and any argument against it that is conference-based is just so inaccurate. I mean, it's not fair at all because
love to hate.
Gonzaga can't. It's
People
not
loved
Gonzaga
when they loved them when they were the Cinderella team. Now that they're good, everybody's like, "Oh, they're not good enough." So
yeah, now that they've been elite for 20 years, and that they don't have a national championship, but they have Final Four appearance. And do people realize how impressive it is for them to be as good as they are at the school they're at? And the conference they're in, like this isn't normal. Like a team in the West Coast Conference being the best team in the country almost every year is not normal. They're playing the West Coast Conference, so they're not the best.
Mark Few's doing work.
I think Gonzaga also makes these West Coast teams around them better. Like I don't think BYU would be as good as they are or as thought of as they were if Gonzaga wasn't in this conference.
Probably,
which is a fine argument to make. But other than Gonzaga, there's 4 teams in the West Coast that are in the top 105 on KenPom, and 2 of them are in the top 100. So you just got to, they beat Iowa. They should have beaten Iowa by 20. Iowa got a ton of garbage time points. West Virginia is the only team in non-conference that played with them well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only game that they haven't won by double digits all season. And they scored 87 points. So there you go. So Gonzaga is going to win the West Coast Conference. If they don't, great. I mean, if they don't, you won't have them coming in undefeated. You won't have the undefeated narrative. That'll probably help them if they lose the West Coast Conference tournament. I think they have a better chance to win the national championship.
Probably. I don't think there's any way they lose. So.
There's going to be a narrative of 9 days off going when they play their first tournament game. It'll be 9 or 10 days off, which that's where we go to the next Rothstein breaking news is really where that comes in, which is the fact that as I put the folder away. All right.
File it on the chair back there.
Yep. Several teams whose conference tournaments end well in advance of Selection Sunday are exploring adding additional non-conference games during championship week in an effort to bolster their NCAA tournament resume. Now, I don't think Gonzaga would do this, but maybe like BYU
Well, it's unheard
does.
of, right? Like,
well, yeah, having a non-conference game out, yeah, and you could actually do it.
It could also hurt you too, correct? I mean, BYU schedules something and then loses.
But
then
the teams that are trying to do this are probably really desperate. Like Drake could do this because they need to get in.
True.
or now another thing that you got to think about. What if you play somebody, you beat them, and then they have COVID and they give it to you, and now you can't play in the
Exactly.
tournament? So I don't think this is a risk that anybody should take.
No.
Because imagine losing your chance to play in the tournament just because you wanted to play an extra game. That's just stupid.
Right.
But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if we have a pretty high level team playing a game like this.
You would have to be on like the first four, next four out bubble, right?
Drake,
To even think about doing this.
And your tournament has to end well in advance. So it's not really going to be any of the Power 6 teams doing that.
Right.
So the teams that would do that are the lower level conference teams like Drake doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't think we're going to see much of it just because there's such a large risk that comes with it. But who knows at this point? The NCAA has announced their initial contingency plans if a team can't play in the tournament due to COVID-19. I don't have the full documents here, but I do have some pictures that were posted by the account. I don't know if you have the documents, but of course, we're official business. It's probably on the NCAA website. But separate policies for when a team is forced to withdraw. Here they are. Before the tournament field is released, this is the policy. If an automatic qualifier is unable to meet the medical protocols and participate in the first game, the conference may designate a replacement team. The replacement automatic qualifier team will be appropriately seated and placed in the bracket. So for example, let's say the Sun Belt Conference is won by Georgia State, and whoever they beat or the number 2 team in the conference would be picked by the Sun Belt to be in the tournament, I would guess, is how that would go. So
interesting.
I think this is going to happen with somebody. I think it is. And it's going to be unfortunate if it's like Belmont or Liberty.
I don't know. If you're not trying your dangdest to not get COVID during this time, then
a lot of teams have done very well with it this year. A lot of teams. So like if you look at the Big Ten, how many Big Ten teams have had their own issues? 3? 4? I mean, Michigan State, I think, did. Nebraska did. Michigan did. I don't think anybody else has.
Michigan's issue wasn't their own issue, though.
Yeah, it was a student athlete, and then there
Program
was a
issue.
overreaction. Yeah. So, yeah, this could be interesting. Like, let's say Belmont wins the OVC tournament, and then they have a test positive or they have close contacts or something, or a tier 1, like a coach or something, or a trainer, and then you probably do you think the OVC would step up and say, you know what, let's put Morehead State in there, even though Morehead State didn't make it to the championship game, or would they put the team that Belmont beats?
That's a good question. I think
by the rule in the NEC or whatever conference we were talking about, wherever Bryant is, or not Bryant, Bellarmine. It was the OV. Is this?
You're talking about the
Atlantic Sun
Valley? Oh,
what conference? Oh yeah, it was Atlantic Sun. Yeah, it was Atlantic Sun.
Okay.
So the Atlantic Sun, their rule is that the regular season champion gets in. Now, I think if it's a conference tournament, I think you have to pick the runner-up, right?
I would think, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. This could get interesting if that happens. Now, this is after the field is released. Single bid leagues. This is the rule. The conference may replace its automatic qualifiers and is unable to participate due to COVID-19 with the league's pre-approved contingency replacement team. So
they already have somebody picked.
Well, this is after the field is released, so I don't understand the difference.
Right.
I don't know. They're probably just picking the runner-up or the regular season champion.
Yeah.
Multi-bid leagues. What was that?
You think they would just pick? You think they'd be on the same page? Of who they're going to pick?
Multi-bid leagues, so basically the Big Ten, the Big East, all that stuff. The last 4 teams not selected as at-large teams for the original field will be designated as replacement teams. The replacement team will be placed in the bracket in the position left vacant by the withdrawing team. So basically, if Indiana's last 4 out, they could get in if one of the last, or if one of the.
So you're telling me that. So if Illinois gets it, or if the Big Ten gets in 8 teams or 9 teams or whatever, and 4 of them all get COVID, that we could see Penn State in the tournament.
I don't think it's in the league.
Okay.
I think it's just the last 4. like first 4 out teams.
Okay. I
But
thought
we could see Indiana as a 1 seed, I think is what this is saying, right?
would
Let's
they
see.
be just filling the place?
It says the replacement team will be placed in the bracket in the position left vacant by the strong team. So if Baylor is knocked out, we could see like Seton Hall as a 1 seed. That is just
That's
insane.
weird. That is super weird.
Well, this is after the field is released, so what else can they do?
True. Well, they're all playing in the same place. What do you mean? What can they do? They can change.
Yeah, but you can't just.
Oh yeah,
just,
because there's too much money riding on it. I get it. Okay, I get it.
If you already have matchups set, you can't change like 7 different matchups for one team.
You could try a little.
I don't think that would be a mess.
You could have put a 2 weeks in between Selection Sunday and when the tournament starts. Might have made it a little easier.
Yeah, but would that be 2 weeks for scheduling, or would it like teams are more likely to have issues if it's 2 weeks? Basically, they're saying they want to have everybody locked in 48 hours before.
Okay.
It says replacement teams will only be introduced into the championship within 48 hours after the announcement of the field and at no time thereafter. So can we have a situation where a 16 seed moves on to the second round?
Correct.
This could get messy. I hope it doesn't. I don't think it will.
I hope it doesn't.
You got 97% of the teams playing now. Just because they went to Indiana, they're just going to catch COVID. I mean, these protocols have to be really tight, and teams can't be stupid.
Yeah,
I think that's what it comes down to.
I don't think anybody's going to be.
But you'd be surprised.
That's true.
All right, let's look at the net rankings just because it's such a disaster right now. And, I mean, what are these rankings? Seriously. The top 5 makes no sense. Gonzaga, Michigan, Baylor, 100% on board. Houston and Iowa over Illinois, Alabama, and Ohio State, and Colgate? You kidding me? I mean, come on, what are we doing here?
Do you think that they're factoring in the net rankings as heavily this year?
They shouldn't be. I'll tell you that. I don't think they are. I think they should factor KenPom in more than the net rankings at this point. Honestly, I really believe that. Like Colorado is 13th in the net rankings. They have 3 quad 1 losses to horrendous Pac-12 teams. Utah, California, and Washington are horrible, and they lost all 3 of them. That's why your whole narrative about how good Colorado is, come on, let's be honest here. They lost to Utah, 93rd team in the net. They lost to Cal, 188th team in the net. They lost to Washington, 199th team. So we have a three quad 3 loss Pac-12 team as 13th right now. I don't get it. I really don't.
I don't either.
Yeah,
Colorado's really good though, so I don't blame them.
They lost to Washington and Cal. So. And how about the fact that Colorado's 25 spots higher than UCLA, who leads the conference?
I don't know, man. All I see is teams like Loyola Chicago, and I don't get it.
All right. I don't really think we had to go there, but that's fine. I mean, they're an elite club.
Go Colgate. Anyways. Yeah, the net rankings suck. And the NCAA is never good at doing things like this, so it doesn't surprise me one bit.
Well, Chicago has 0 quad 3 losses, so that counts for something.
True.
Let me ask you this one. I saw this on Twitter. Do you think we should have a public bracket updated every day for the entire season? Because I don't think we should, but some people think that.
No. What?
I have great respect for the person who said this, but I won't name names. But
like after week 1, they want to bracket?
I don't know if it's like the weeks leading up to the tournament or if it's week 1.
Okay.
I think the surprise of it is too large.
He's saying that the committee needs to have a running bracket at all times.
A bracket where people can see what they're thinking, I guess.
No.
I mean, the bracket did get leaked a couple of years ago, so that might happen again.
No. I think that's silly. What would be the excitement of your team sitting around waiting to see if you got in the tournament or not?
Yeah, I don't like it either. I like the mystery of everyone just thinking, the committee's really stupid, but how stupid are
they? Right, and then you can question them the whole time.
Exactly. That's good stuff. All right. Let's move on now to the bracketological version. parts of this,
Uh-huh.
which will be a look at my updated field of 68. I'm glad I started this last week, so I didn't have to update it before then because this is so much easier. But I texted you earlier,
A lot of movement.
31 different changes were made in this week's edition. So, and that is not just like bumping a team from a number 2 seed to a number 4 seed. This is like seed movement and then in, out, and then a couple automatic qualifier changes. But let's see. Before I think I forgot to change something on here.
Uh-oh.
I think I still had Colgate, even though I believe Navy. No, I got it. Okay. Here we go. All right. So there is a new 1 seed in town, and that is Illinois as the number 4 1 seed. So we have Gonzaga, Baylor, Michigan, Illinois, which we're Illini fans. I'm not being biased. A lot of people have done this. CBS did it. Other people did it. It makes sense.
I think everybody has. I don't know anybody that hasn't moved Illinois into the 4.
Now, this is where the question comes in. Do you put Illinois as a 1 seed if they lose to Ohio State again?
I don't think
you
so.
can justify that.
No, I don't think you do. And it's going to be interesting with Illinois these next 2 games. They play Michigan and Ohio State. Io's still day-to-day. So I don't know how Illinois is going to hang on to a 1 seed. If they win one of the next 2, I guess they would. But then what about the Big Ten tournament? If they lose their first round game, it's...
Yeah, obviously I'm not a part of the committee or I don't know the thinking. I'm way smarter. But
true. And you wear sweet bandanas. So.
Exactly. Here's how I would look at that. If Illinois beats Michigan without Io DeSoto, they're an automatic 1
obviously.
No matter what happens, ever.
Yeah.
Now, even if they lose to Ohio State on Saturday, if they beat Michigan without Io or with them, you got to put them in there no matter what. They could lose to Rutgers in the Friday Big Ten tournament game, and I'd still have them as a 1 seed.
Yeah.
Because that would be 9 quad 1 wins. No one's topping 9.
Right.
And the only team that would top 9 is Baylor with how many quad 1 games they have coming up. So, and that's another thing. Like, how is Illinois behind Houston and Iowa in the net, even though Illinois has the most quad 1 wins in the country? I mean, it makes no sense.
Right.
Plus no quad 3 or 4 losses, which one.
Right.
Anyway, 2 seeds, couple movements here. 3 different 2 seeds now. Ohio State moves on to the 1 line of the 2 seeds. Alabama, Iowa, West Virginia are the 2 seeds. So I kind of do a field of 68. I'm not actually going to go region by region until the Saturday before Selection Sunday. I'll do that, or I guess the Sunday before Selection Sunday. I'll go region by region and break down the matchups, which I don't know. I guess we'll probably be doing a Monday show after Selection Sunday, probably to be able to get notes on all the matchups.
What day Selection Sunday?
Sunday, 13 days from now, 14th, right?
Might be out of town.
Well,
I'll have to go. I'll be able to go live though.
It's the 14th is Selection Sunday, and we'll probably just do a show on the 15th.
Yeah, we'll have to figure that out.
All right, so Iowa moves up, West Virginia moves up, so there's 2 more new 2 seeds moving up. 3 seeds, I have Houston, Villanova moves down from 2 to 3. Florida State remains there, and then Texas Tech jumps up on to the 3 line. 4 seeds, 3 new 4 seeds. Kansas goes from a 5 to a 4. Then you have Oklahoma State, or I guess Kansas State at a 4. I don't know why I read that wrong. Nice job by me. Oklahoma State moves up from 5 to 4. Arkansas goes from 6 to 4. Texas goes from 5 to 4. So 3 Big 12 teams in the 4 line. The 5 line, we have USC staying there, Purdue staying there. Oklahoma goes from a 2 to a 5. So a big drop for them. They lost to Kansas State and Oklahoma State. They play Oklahoma State tonight. Virginia Tech goes from a 4 to a 5. 6 seeds, we have Virginia. Clemson moves up from 7 to 6. Creighton stays on the 6 line. BYU moves up from 7 to 6. 7 seeds, Tennessee drops from a 4 to a 7. LSU and Florida, the 7 seeds is all SEC, by the way. LSU and Florida stay there. The Missouri goes from a 6 to a 7. 8 seeds. Rutgers and UConn stay. San Diego State is on fire, so I moved them up from, I believe, to a 10 to an 8 or something, or maybe 9 to an 8. And then Maryland moves up from 10 to 8. Then we have 9 seeds. Loyola Chicago stays as a 9. I dropped Wisconsin from 8 to 9. Anybody who has Wisconsin better than an 8 is insane. I know some people do. Boise State they lost both games to San Diego State, so I dropped them a seed 8 to 9. UCLA stays in the 9. They're now the automatic qualifier in the Pac-12 right now, leading that conference. You have Xavier going from 9 to 10. Oregon, Louisville, and Colorado staying on the 10 line. 11s, Wichita State, North Carolina, Colorado State. And then you have Drake and Michigan State as the play-in game on the 11 line. So that makes for an interesting scenario. That's a 2-bid Missouri Valley. So 12 seeds. Western Kentucky dropped them from 11 to 12. They got killed by Houston. St. Bonaventure stays as 12. Winthrop goes from 13 to 12. I had Belmont go from 12 to 13. Georgia Tech is in the field, even though I trashed their coach and their program last week. They're in. VCU's in as well. That's a play in there. Georgia Tech, VCU. Belmont goes from a 12 to a 13 after losing to, I believe, who did they lose to? They lost to Morehead State, but I think they lost another game too.
Yeah,
Jacksonville State or something.
2 in a row.
Yeah, they've had some stinkers recently, but I guess getting them out of the way before the conference tournament should help.
I can look, unless you're looking.
I'm not.
Okay, I'll look. I'm on it. They lost to Eastern Kentucky and Morehead State. Lost to Eastern Kentucky by 14 and Morehead State by 7. Rough.
All right. UC Santa Barbara, Toledo, Wright State. That's the 13s. 14s, you have Liberty, UNCG, Abilene Christian, Navy. 15, South Dakota State out of the Summit, Eastern Washington, Big Sky. And the MAAC, Siena. And then Grand Canyon out of the WAC, who I believe lost to Seattle this week. So there's that. James Madison and UMBC, 16 seeds out of the CAA and the American East. Prairie View A&M and Bryant is a play-in game. And then you have North Carolina A&T and Texas State as a playing game in the 16. So 31 changes.
Wow.
Last 4 in: Drake, Michigan State, Georgia Tech, VCU. First 4 out: Duke, St. Louis, Stanford, Indiana. And then the next 4 out: Ole Miss, Richmond, Seton Hall, Utah State. So Duke is close.
Impressive.
If Duke makes a run in the ACC tournament.
You're still loving on St. Louis, aren't you?
Yeah, I almost kept them in. I just think that they're so much better than they should be. I don't know. Or they're so much worse than they should be.
True.
All right, bids by conference. Big 10, 9. Big 12, 7. ACC, 7. SEC, 6. Pac-12 and Big East, both with 4. 3 from the Mountain West, and then 2 from the Missouri Valley, the West Coast, the A-10, and the American Athletic. So the American Athletic, if Wichita State can win that conference, that was always going to be a 1-bid conference with Houston. But if Wichita State can win the American Athletic tournament, they have a good chance. If they can get there and lose in the championship, another good chance. So Wichita State could get in. They did make their Isaac Brown the head coach. He was the interim. They beat Houston. Now he's the head coach. So he's done a really good job there, especially with the situation that they had going on there with what happened with Greg Marshall beating players or whatever. So the fact that they're even in the conversation is really impressive.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that's the field of 68 for this week. There will be changes next week. Maybe. I don't know if I'm going to wait another week to do that, but the bubble is where the next conversation goes as I exit the tab. The bubble. What do you think about the bubble? Who do you like on the bubble?
I think that VCU is sitting on the bubble right now, aren't they?
Yeah, I have them as last 4 in.
Yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of Seton Hall, I think, is close. You don't have them in, do you?
No, I have them as a next 4 out or a last first 4 out, maybe.
Okay.
Or no, I have them as next 4 out.
Next 4 out. Yeah, I think Seton Hall is. I think they lost 2. So I don't think they have a chance unless something crazy happens. But yeah, just looking at like Michigan State, somehow finally getting in there. Xavier, I think, is another one that people either have in or have out, sitting right there. So
Yeah, Xavier's a close team. I mean, I
they
have them
just
as a 10, but
yeah,
they're close. They lose another bad game, they might be done. But
right.
a bubble team that I love that I think could make a run if they got in is actually St. Louis, obviously. Obviously.
Sure.
But I don't know. It's gonna be really hard for them to get in if they don't win the A10 tournament. So
Right.
I'd love to see Ole Miss get in somehow if they could win the SEC tournament. I doubt they will. Next four out right now for me. So yeah, I don't know. The bubble is strong. Like the fact that we have Duke and Michigan State on the bubble together with
Right.
Indiana too. I mean,
Right.
whew. Also Minnesota's dead.
Yeah.
So
Get Izzo into the tournament, and I think that Michigan State can run.
they can get at least to the second round. Yeah.
Yeah. So Izzo's made for March. Is that what? Wait, what's he say? Monday, Sunday, Izzo, Tuesday. I don't know what he says. you guys get what I'm saying.
Yeah. All right. Upset of the week. Should be obvious, right?
I put Bradley over Drake, right? Obviously. I don't know who else played, Ethan. You can't just throw things out at me like that.
You don't think Michigan State over Illinois and Ohio State's huge upsets?
No, I don't. Not when I'm with Izzo at home.
But how bad they've been?
Don't care.
Flip the switch.
Don't care.
I'm going with them.
Okay.
They're starting to play their way into the field of 68. Of course, they lost to Maryland to cap the week off, but what can you do? All right, team of the week.
I put Gonzaga. A lot of people are hating on them, playing a cupcake league, blah, blah, blah. But if you finish your regular season undefeated, you deserve to be team of the year probably, but team of the week for me. Finished off a 24-0 season. That's who I got.
I went with Oklahoma State.
Yes.
They beat Texas Tech by 5 in overtime. They beat Oklahoma by 4 in overtime. Cade Cunningham has been unreal the last couple of weeks. He is a player also made for March. So Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Cunningham, Thursday, right?
Exactly,
yeah. Player of the week.
Cade Cunningham.
Yep.
Obviously.
20 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists against Texas Tech, 40 points, 11 rebounds, 1 assist, 3 steals against Oklahoma.
Yeah. Very good. Very
now,
good week for the number 1 draft pick.
If you want to have a bit of an argument about this,
okay,
and someone making a case for somebody else, maybe you do it in the Horizon tournament. Do we do that? I'll give you the case here.
Okay, give it to me.
So here's what happened, right? Okay, I can't find it. Okay, here we go. Detroit and IUPUI, right?
Yeah.
Detroit beats them 90-88. Antoine Davis,
very good one.
A guard for Detroit, played 37 minutes. He had 43 points, two rebounds, and 1 assist. 15 for 28 from the field, 6 for 10 from 3, 7 for 8 from the line. So he had 43 points and only 7 points from the line. You can make an argument that that's a conference tournament game. Obviously, it's the Horizon, so it's really not that big of a conference deal, But 43 points in a conference tournament game, that seems good. I don't know about you, but
that is very good.
That's like Teddy Allen against Penn State, and then he comes back and has like 3 points the next game. So
and then he leaves.
And now he's gone. Yep. Very exciting. Okay. All-American team picks, I think. Wait, no. What do I have next?
Winners and losers.
Forgot about that. Go for it.
Losers. We'll start with Belmont. We just talked about. We kind of talked about most of these teams during the show. So, but lost to Morehead State. You told me to put them on there, so I did.
They have had a rough week. They haven't been playing the way they were during the regular season, which maybe it'll be for the best. Maybe they'll get going.
Yeah.
Sense of urgency.
I put VCU down just because if they end up, tanking in the Atlantic 10, do they still get an automatic bid? Will they still be looking?
Have some pretty brutal losses.
Yeah. So I thought VCU was a loser.
I think we've mentioned VCU more than any team in this
Well,
podcast.
yeah, I know. That's the only team we talk about. Duke lost to Louisville, basically sealing their fate, I believe. Bubble team no more, I'm gonna say, but maybe they make a run in the I don't know who they have left to play, but a lot of people thought that game was winner in, loser out. So
Okay, here's what I'll say about Duke. They're still firmly within striking distance. CBS has them as a first four out team. I also have them as a first four out team. So
I mean, they play their next two games are Georgia Tech and North Carolina. So I mean, you win both of those, make a little run. Who knows what happens?
The problem for Duke is that they have some really bad losses. Like Michigan State's not a great loss. It's not the worst loss they have, though. I mean, Pittsburgh is a bad loss. Losing to Louisville twice isn't great. Notre Dame, bad loss. Miami's a really bad loss. That was Miami without some of their best players in that game. So I don't know. I mean, like you said, if they beat Georgia Tech, North Carolina, they have a really good chance, I think.
Right.
That would put them at 13-9, 12-8 in the conference. They'll be close.
Still a chance. Yeah. Next, I have Seton Hall, which I mentioned earlier. They've lost 2 in a row. I believe that they're definitely out now. The Big East, how many teams do you have? 4 getting in? And it's kind of between Xavier and Seton Hall who gets that 4th spot.
Did I have 4? I guess I did, yeah.
Villanova, Creighton, UConn, and then Xavier, I think. So Seton Hall and Xavier sitting on the bubble, but Seton Hall's lost 2 in a row this week, so they're going to be struggling to get in.
I have 4 in the Big East. I have them as a next 4 out team. I think some might have them as a first 4 out.
Gotcha.
But Seton Hall's in big trouble.
Yeah. I put Ohio State down. I know that they're still a 2 seed, whatever, but they got moved off the one line. They lost 3 this week. So trending in the wrong direction. 2 more Big Ten teams. Minnesota, 5-game losing streak, lost to Nebraska.
Dead.
See you later. Indiana, 3-game losing streak.
Dead.
See you later. I put Drake because after losing to Bradley, they're sitting there on a fine line on the bubble. Boise State is one that I put down because
that's not fair.
they lost 2 to San Diego State. I know, but now they're 4th in the Mountain West. A lot of people have Colorado State getting in now.
I have 3 Mountain West teams.
Yeah, I'm sure you have Colorado State, Boise State, and San Diego State. Yep. And then Utah State is actually ahead of them in the conference. So,
they're dead.
Yeah. Villanova dropped, I think, in everybody's brackets after losing to Butler and dropped in the AP.
How about Butler? Did you pick them as a winner of the week even though they suck?
No, because what'd their win do?
Hey, Villanova and Seton Hall, those are good wins.
Yeah, who cares?
Momentum for the Big East tournament.
Maybe upset of the week over Bradley.
Yeah, and my Michigan State pick, I didn't even think about Butler.
Yeah. So, so those are my losers. Winners, I got North Carolina went in. I believe they went into Tallahassee and beat Florida State.
I think they were at home for that game.
Okay, well, they stayed home and they beat Florida State. UConn, 2 wins this week in the tournament. Your team. I know you love Book Knight.
Yes.
And everything he does. Georgia Tech, who we talked about earlier, 4-game win streak, back in the tournament. Might not be joining, with 4 other teams or whatever. Not having
Georgia
11,
Tech's biggest problem is 2 quad 3 losses. They lost to Mercer by 10, and then I don't know if this was an overtime game. They lost to Georgia State 123-120. So I don't know. That had to be overtime.
Wow. Yeah, that's not good.
It isn't good, no.
I put Illinois down. I know we do an Illinois podcast, but
Biased.
after losing to Michigan State, they won back-to-back games without Io, which included a road win in Madison, which is always big, and did it without an All-American, basically. And even with 20 turnovers, they decided somehow to win that game. Even when Trice wants to score 19 points with 2 minutes left. But moved up to the 1 seed in a lot of people's eyes. We'll see if that sticks, but
let me just real quick.
Yeah.
That game was 4 overtimes.
Wow.
Georgia Tech, Georgia State. First game of the year for both.
That's crazy.
You had players on Georgia State with 22, 26, 21, and 22. Those are starters. And then you had players on Georgia Tech with 29, 31, 24. Georgia State took 95 shots. Georgia Tech took 99.
Whoa.
32 threes for Georgia Tech, 30 threes for Georgia State. This is the best part. 59 free throws for Georgia Tech.
That's insane.
38 for Georgia State. And Georgia State won this game.
That's insane.
I don't know how I forgot about that game. Also, just for fun.
Because you forget about games that happened a week ago. What do you mean?
Yeah, Moses Wright, a senior forward for Georgia Tech, had 31 points and 19 rebounds.
Dang.
So 1 rebound away from 20. That's weak.
Weak. He played two games, though. That's 2 games of stats.
Yeah, the overtimes were 46 to 43 combined. 4 overtimes.
That's nuts.
It's like an NBA game, except the NBA teams would take about 53 instead of 30.
True. Back to winners. Maryland, 5-game winning streak, beat Michigan State after they beat 2 really good teams in Illinois and Ohio State, basically playing themselves into the tournament.
Is this Turgeon's best work at Maryland?
The turnaround that they've had, I would say so.
Well, they lost their 2 best players from last year.
Absolutely. I other than the Illinois game, I haven't watched Maryland play much, so I don't.
Aaron Wiggins is emerging as their best player at this point. I mean, they still have good veterans and stuff, but they probably shouldn't be as good as they have been.
Right.
Them and Michigan State both lost their 2 best players. So both of those players were a big man and a guard. Michigan State took a long time to get going. Maryland kind of did the same, but they've been better overall. Maryland has too good a quality wins to not get into the tournament.
Right.
Like if you look at their wins,
and they're 9-9 in the Big Ten. I mean, if you're 500 in the Big Ten, you're getting in.
They're 5-9 in Quad 1. Their wins are over Illinois, Wisconsin, Rutgers, Purdue, and Minnesota. So pretty good.
Yeah. And then everybody wants to talk about, you got beat by Maryland. Like Maryland's proving that they're a good enough team. So.
I mean, all of Illinois' losses look pretty good at this point.
Right. Yeah. Michigan State, I got as a winner. Like you said, they beat, and we've said it a lot, they beat Ohio State and Illinois in the past week. So they're in. And then Colorado State, who's on a 3-game winning streak right now. Basically, there's kind of a 3-way battle there, I think, in the Mountain West. So
I would call it a 1-way battle right now.
1-way.
San Diego State.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying for them to get 2 other teams in, right?
Yeah, I don't think Utah State has a chance.
Okay. All right.
I think
and then,
Boise State, San Diego State, and Colorado State will be the 3 teams that get in. Unless Utah State is carried by
what a lot of people have.
And wins the Mountain West tournament.
Yeah. And last one I have, Xavier beats Creighton this week and gets themselves played in right now. So that's
the Big East makes no sense.
Nope.
Villanova's not very good. I mean, they're good, but Villanova and Virginia both are completely overrated this year. Villanova's better, but Virginia sucks.
True.
Virginia's not as good as they should be. Completely overrated. Way it goes. All-American teams. I got all 3 teams. A lot of controversy coming. I'm just going to list them. Not going to go 2-0 because we're already an hour 20 in. So
yeah, we got an hour worth of games of the week apparently. So
it's going to be a long one. First team. Let me know if you have any issues with this.
Okay, let's hear it.
First team: Io DeSumo, Cade Cunningham, Corey Kispert, Drew Timme, Luca Garza. So Illinois, Oklahoma State, Gonzaga, Iowa.
I'm okay with that. I don't know how Timmy's been playing lately, but
He would be the third or fourth guy in National Player of the Year if I were voting.
really,
Yeah.
okay,
I think he's averaging like 19 and 12 or 19 and 11 or something.
interesting.
Somewhere around there. I don't know, but he's very good. I don't know. I mean, you look at second-year guy, gotten much better. One of the best players on Gonzaga. Gonzaga has a big three, but they also have very good players around him. He's averaging 18 and 7, but 65% from the field.
18.9 is more like 19.
Yeah, 19 and 7, but 65% from the field, right? And you look at it, he could be most improved. I mean, he averaged 9 and 5 last year.
Yeah, his mustache is terrible, though.
All right, that's a ricochet shot. Second team. Obviously, Davion Mitchell, right? Easily. Jalen Suggs, Jared Butler, Hunter Dickinson, Kofi Coburn. 2 centers. So the difference between this one and the last one is I flipped Butler and Timme. So Butler's second team.
Okay.
Any issues?
Seems fair enough.
Now this is where we get a little crazy. I have 2 forwards and 2 centers in the third team.
Okay.
My guard is Quentin Grimes from Houston. He's carried them. Don't know why I said Houston, but Houston. Quentin Grimes, transferred from Kansas. He's been their best player. And I'm picking him over Marcus Carr and any other guard you can think of. Don't care. Taking him. Trace Jackson Davis has too good of numbers. Even though Indiana sucks at this point, his numbers are too good for him not to get in. Plus, he's controlled the narrative of being a second or third team guy the whole year. Isaiah Livers, Charles Bassey, and Evan Mobley. So I took 5 centers, 4 forwards, 5 guards.
Seems fair enough.
I don't think my numbers are accurate on that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So who do people think that you should have instead, I guess is
I don't know.
okay.
Marcus Carr, do people think that?
Marcus Carr would be third team maybe at best.
I'll take Quentin Grimes. Thanks. He's on a team that actually wins games and can win on the road.
Ouch.
Maybe some people would take what's his face from that one team?
Oh yeah.
Who am I thinking of? Maybe some people would think Cam Thomas should be All-American third team because he's averaging 23 points a game or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
From LSU, maybe people think someone from Alabama could be on there, like Shackelford. Or Herb Jones has been a popular guy, or Carleek Jones from Louisville, or David Duke from Providence, not the other David Duke that existed. Okay, games of the week. Now this is gonna be a lengthy one, I think. So I'm just gonna go for it, I guess. A lot of talking. I'm gonna pause after every day, and we're gonna discuss, who's who and what's what.
I'll be here. You just let me know when you want my input.
4 p.m. Central Standard Time today on ESPNU. You have Dayton and St. Bonaventure. So St. Bonaventure needs a nice win going into the A-10 tournament. We'll see. We have the quarterfinals of the Big South tournament. Winthrop, High Point, UNC Asheville, Longwood, Radford, Hampton, and Campbell, Gardner Webb. Those are ESPN Plus games, I believe, and those will be happening all night. North Carolina, Syracuse, a bubble game. Syracuse is dead. Don't even think about trying to put them anywhere near the field. They don't play any defense. They lose a lot of games. No, I'm good on Syracuse. Oklahoma State's by far the game of the night. A rematch of Saturday's overtime game. And then Arizona, Oregon. So Arizona, once again, they're not eligible for the tournament, but they're a team that can give you some issues. So that's what I do. ESPN2, probably a Bill Walton game. So that'll be interesting.
Can't beat that.
Now, tomorrow is where we get good games. Baylor, West Virginia at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time on ESPN. Will you be watching that game?
What time?
Baylor, West Virginia at 4 o'clock.
I hope so.
Leading into 6 o'clock, Illinois, Michigan. Then the quarterfinals, the Horizon Tournament. Now, this will be something for you to keep an eye on with your Cleveland State boys taking on Fort Wayne. not an easy matchup. Fort Wayne had a big win over Green Bay. I don't know. We'll see. Then you got Northern Kentucky and Detroit. Can Antoine Davis have 40 points again and get them a win? Find out next on ESPN Plus on Tuesday. Oakland and Youngstown State, and then you have Wright State and Milwaukee. So I'll be keeping an eye on Wright State, see if they can get a win. Now, let me tell you these next two massive bubble games. You tell me which one is more important or which one you're looking at the most. And I have a feeling our answers on this will be similar. Indiana and Michigan State, Duke and Georgia Tech.
I think Duke.
I think that game's bigger, yeah.
I don't know I don't know. Those are, but I think if Duke is going to get in, they have to win. Michigan State still could get in without beating Indiana, I believe.
Yeah, it is a home game, though. You'd like for them to win that. And Indiana's done. That's the difference. Like Duke and Georgia Tech both have a chance. Indiana doesn't.
Right.
Wisconsin and Purdue. See if Wisconsin can get something going, man, because they've been playing so badly. Like the only player that shows up just about every night for them is Demetric Trice. And now they're at Purdue, and Purdue's a very good team with a very deep rotation. And Purdue, I texted you this, guarantee Purdue will be top 4 in the Big Ten next year. So there's that. Wednesday is a big conference tournament day. So you have the first round of the OVC tournament. There's 4 matchups, 2 of them on Wednesday, 2 of them on Thursday. You have Belmont and SIU Edwardsville, Morehead State, and Southeast Missouri State tomorrow. So we'll see Belmont and Morehead State in action probably on ESPN Plus tomorrow. First round of the Patriot League tournament, you have the 8 seed versus 9 seed, 7 seed versus 10 seed. No seeds announced yet. Missouri at Florida. So Missouri, another team that's been struggling hard. This is SEC Network. Missouri has to get something going. UConn, Seton Hall, must win for Seton Hall. No other way around it. Louisville, Virginia Tech. That'll be an interesting ACC game. Creighton and Villanova. So a big-time FS1 Big East doubleheader on Wednesday with UConn, Seton Hall, and Creighton, Villanova. UCLA, Oregon on ESPN2. So another late night, probably Bill Walton Pac-12 game with 2 of the better teams in the conference. Stanford, USC. I tend to think Stanford is dead, but USC could use a win here. Then you have the first round of the A-10 tournament, which will be 12 and 13 against 11, or 12 and 13 playing each other, then 11 and 14 playing each other. So that's Wednesday. You're going to have a total of 6 conference tournament games, and then it gets even crazier on Thursday. First round of the OVC tournament continues. Jacksonville State and Murray State take on each other. Eastern Kentucky and Austin PA, I don't know what the hell it is. The first round of the Atlantic Sun tournament is on Thursday. You have Liberty and Kennesaw State. You have North Florida and North Alabama. You have Bellarmine, Stetson, and Lipscomb and FGCU. How fun would it be if Florida Gulf Coast found a way to get into the tournament? That would be funny, right? Am I right? Nailed it. Big South semifinals are on Thursday. Second round of the A-10 tournament is on Thursday. You have the 8 and 9 playing each other, 7 and 10 playing each other. Then you have 5 will play 12 or 13, and 6 will play 11 or 14. The best mid-major conference tournament starts on Thursday. Bradley, Southern Illinois. Kickoff, Arch Madness, the Missouri Valley, and the Northern Iowa, Illinois State. Round 1 of the West Coast tournament, San Francisco and San Diego, then Santa Clara, Portland will play each other. Texas and Oklahoma play on Thursday, so a big game for Oklahoma if they lose tonight. See if they can get anything going before the Big 12 tournament and beating Texas. Arizona State, Colorado, see if Colorado can not suck as they have at times and overrated. But Michigan State, Michigan, big rivalry in-state game. Michigan State would guarantee a spot if they win this game.
They got to win 1 or 2. They play twice, right?
Yeah, they play twice.
So I think they win one of those, they're in.
And Oklahoma State Baylor is going to be a fun matchup. The first time these two played, Cade Cunningham did not play. Now we'll get to see him take – I don't know who's going to guard him because he's 6'8".
Baylor's got a heck of a schedule this week.
Yeah,
they've been struggling with.
I mean, I said last week Baylor would lose.
Yeah,
they had 8 players test positive. So
yeah, I saw that. You sent me that thing. That's crazy.
That might kill them.
Yeah, because
we've seen players struggle when they come back from it, no matter whether they had symptoms or not. Really, I don't know. I don't know who the hell's going to guard Cade Cunningham for this team. Now Butler and Mitchell are tremendous, but they're not tall enough.
Yeah.
And I don't think Vital is quick enough. Teague,
no, I don't think so.
Tall enough? I mean, that's going to be tough. But anyway.
By committee, I guess.
And they could do it. They switch on everything.
Right.
Every single ball screen they switch. Every single one. Doesn't even matter. All right. Friday, conference tournament games. There's like a million of them. Semifinals of the Atlantic Sun. The highest seed against the lowest seed, and the second highest against the second lowest. The A10 tournament quarterfinals. You have the quarterfinals of Arch Madness. All on Fox Sports Midwest. Loyola Chicago will play Bradley or Southern Illinois. Indiana State will play Evansville. Drake will play Northern Iowa or Illinois State. And then Missouri State will play Valpo. OVC semifinals will be on Friday. You have round one of the SoCon tournament. The Citadel in Western Carolina. Western Carolina has been on fire, by the way, coming into this. Then Mercer and Samford taking on each other in round one of the SoCon tournament. Then you have round one of the Sun Belt tournament. Round two of the West Coast Conference tournament will be Loyola Marymount versus San Francisco or San Diego. Probably San Francisco, for being honest. Pacific and Santa Clara against Portland. Pacific against Santa Clara or Portland. Then Colorado State, Nevada. Colorado State has to keep winning to stay within the field of 68, and Nevada presents a challenge, a talented team that Steve Alford has at Nevada. Now, Saturday, there's like a million games. I'm already on Saturday in like 11 minutes.
You're moving. I like it.
All right. Saturday, semifinals, the America East tournament. You have UMBC against UMass Lowell, and then Vermont and Hartford. Then the Atlantic 10 semifinals will be at 5 p.m. Central on CBS Sports Network and 8 p.m. Central on CBS Sports Network. Round one of the Colonial Athletic, Elon, not Elon Musk, but Elon, against Towson, and then William & Mary against UNC Wilmington. Round one of the NEC tournament, the Northeast, 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3. The OVC championship game is Saturday night, 7 o'clock Central on ESPN2. Second round of the Patriot League tournament. Second round of the SoCon tournament will be UNC Greensboro playing the winner of Citadel, Western Carolina. Chattanooga playing East Tennessee State. Wofford playing the winner of Mercer and Samford. And then Furman and the Virginia Military Institute going head-to-head. Round one of the Summit League tournament, 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7. Second round of the Sun Belt tournament. Arch Madness semifinals, 12 p.m. Central on CBS Sports Network, 3 p.m. Central on CBS Sports Network. It's the other game. Quarterfinals of the West Coast Conference tournament will be St. Mary's playing the winner of Loyola Marymount versus San Francisco or San Diego, and then Pepperdine against the winner of Pacific versus Santa Clara or Portland. So a lot of moving parts in the West Coast tournament because the way their structure is very weird.
Right.
Then Indiana, Purdue. If Indiana could beat Michigan State and Purdue this week, maybe they're back in the conversation.
That's true.
They wouldn't be in, but if they would have some momentum going into the Big Ten tournament, they'd likely play Rutgers probably, and then they'd have a chance to probably play Illinois. That's going to go. LSU, Missouri. Missouri needs to get something going. LSU is a high-scoring team that needs to keep winning to stay in. Oklahoma State, West Virginia. So the Big 12 has loaded matchups this week. All the best teams in the Big 12 are playing each other this week.
Right.
So that's a big game. On Saturday, Rutgers, Minnesota. I mean, Minnesota's dead, but it'd be nice for Rutgers to get a win at the barn to bolster their resume. Villanova, Providence. Providence is likely done, but Villanova has had some weekend woes recently. Like they got obliterated by Creighton and they lost to Butler in weekend games. So not sure how you view that one. Illinois, Ohio State on ESPN. That's a 3 p.m. game, I believe, Central. So this will be a battle for a 1 seed, I think. Probably.
Sounds like it. Is there any chance that Missouri, like if they lose to Florida and LSU, that they're out? Like, are we still loving Missouri being in? I mean, that'd drop them to 7-9 in the SEC, and I don't know.
I have them as a 7 right now.
I've seen them anywhere from a 7 to 10.
I think it would take a lot. Like, I think it would take them losing those 2 games and then getting dropped from the SEC tournament, which wouldn't do it by itself because then you need other bubble teams to emerge.
Right.
Like if Duke won the ACC tournament, I mean, Missouri's resume is not that great. They have some brutal losses. I mean, the SEC is not a good conference.
I mean, we're looking at LSU, and you're saying that they need to win, but yet Missouri's 7-7 and LSU's 9-6 in the conference.
Yeah, I mean, the only good wins that Missouri has, they have 4 of them, I would say. I mean, the other 2 in quad 1, I mean, Oregon was completely depleted when Missouri beat them. So they beat Wichita State, which is solid, but that was December, so different teams. They beat Illinois, Alabama, Arkansas, Tennessee, and Tennessee's not very good.
Yeah.
Arkansas has been good, so they beat them, but they did lose to them as well. But the thing for Missouri is that's going to save them is probably the fact that they don't really have any bad losses quad 3-wise or 4.
Yeah.
I mean, they lost to Mississippi State and Georgia, which isn't great, and Ole Miss twice, which isn't great. But I think they'll be saved.
I was just wondering, like,
I know deep down you want them to miss. I get it.
maybe.
I think the Illinois and Alabama wins single-handedly save them.
Yeah.
So, USC UCLA, a CBS game on Saturday. That's a good, Pac-12 game. I remember last year they played each other. It was a big deal on CBS, so we're doing it again, running it back. Last year we had the same matchup in the last week of the season on CBS, running it back. And then Duke, North Carolina. So this matchup between the two means a lot more than the first one, because the first one you're like, Duke's probably dead. North Carolina's right there in the bubble. North Carolina's firmly in, I think, right now, and Duke is firmly on the bubble. So it's a bigger game than the first one. And then on Sunday, the A-Sun Championship, the Atlantic Sun Championship, we'll likely see Liberty in that, I'm assuming, unless we see a big upset. That's on ESPN at 1 p.m. Central. The Big South Championship is a prelude to that at 11 a.m. on ESPN. Then you have the quarterfinals of the Colonial Athletic Tournament. It'll be James Madison playing the winner of Elon Musk and Towson. Then Hofstra, Delaware will play each other. Then Northeastern will play the winner of William and Mary, UNC Wilmington. Then the College of Charleston, or the College of Chuck, as some might call it, will play Drexel. First round of the MEAC tournament, a tournament starting on Sunday. Makes no sense, but we'll go with it. The Arch Madness Championship, the Missouri Valley Championship, which I'm hoping is like Drake and Bradley, or Drake and Indiana State, or Loyola Chicago, Indiana State, whatever. That's at 1 p.m. Central on CBS. The semifinals in the SoCon will be at 4 p.m. Central, 6:30 p.m. Central, both on ESPNU. First round of the Summit League tournament, 4 versus 5, 3 versus 6. I don't think that's the first round. I don't know why I wrote that. I think I've already said this is a second round. Or wait, no, it's the other two matchups in the first round. Okay. Sun Belt semifinals, 5:30 and 8 p.m. Central Standard Time on both. ESPN Plus for the tournament semifinals. That's interesting. I'm not so sure about that. But and then you have Michigan State, which I'm assuming is a CBS game. Florida and Tennessee. Tennessee's got to get something going. They've been so bad recently. That's ESPNU. And then Wisconsin and Iowa. Once again, can Wisconsin get anything going? And then Baylor completes the quadruple fecta of playing every good team in the Big 12 to end the season with Texas Tech on ESPN. So there's your games of the week. That's about 50 games right there, maybe 60. So
it is March, baby.
Only took me 18 minutes. I thought it was going to take way longer.
That was impressive. You were going. I hope everybody took notes, because whew.
I didn't really feel like we needed a ton of input, because we've talked about all these teams already. But
I agree.
I want to talk about name dropping, or how many times we've said a team. I think we've said VCU about 16 times. They're probably leading the way on this one.
True.
Because we've talked about how many random good mid-major teams they played to start the season. And then they've lost to Davidson and George Mason in the last 2 weeks. So I don't know. I wonder who's going to get more conference tournament picks correct between the two of us. I think I took too many shots in the dark, which will probably kill me. Unless I have a hot streak with the Power Six.
Could get lucky.
Like, if Mount St. Mary's wins the neck, I'll be shocked. I just had to go for it.
Yeah.
South Alabama, too. I don't think they're going to win the Sun Belt, but I went with it. I don't know. We'll find out. So next week's episode is going to be a lot of wrapping up the regular season. All the big tournaments, Power Six, I guess, and the other bigger ones are starting next week. So that'll be fun. There's so much college basketball to watch this week. Sun Belt tournament, what a watch that'll be, right? Quarterfinals of the Horizon, who's not watching that? Quarterfinals of the Big South, who's not watching that?
Only people that have ESPN Plus, probably.
It's somebody, exactly. Is somebody going to take down Winthrop in the Big South? We'll find out. Did you pick Winthrop? I believe you did, right?
I think so.
Okay, so I'm just going to run down real quick before we're done here. I'm going to run down our conference tournament picks.
Okay.
To this point. I think there's like 11 of them or whatever, 15. So I actually have a tracker for this, but I haven't updated it yet because I didn't have all your picks before then. So I'm just going to go by the conference. You tell me who you have winning, and then I'll say who I have winning.
Okay.
All right. So in the I'll just go over the three that we did last week. In the Horizon, I have Wright State. You have Cleveland State. In the America East, we both have Vermont, and in the Big South, we both have Winthrop. So this week is where we see a lot of change. Atlantic Sun, you have who?
Liberty.
I also have Liberty. Atlantic 10.
I have VCU.
St. Louis for me. The Colonial Athletic.
James Madison.
I took Hofstra. The MEAC.
Norfolk State.
Give me Coppin State, obviously. The MVC.
Loyola Chicago.
Which is my team, but I had to go against them for the sake of the three the three bid MVC. Give me it all day. Indiana State, I'll take them. The NEC.
I got Bryant.
Mount St. Mary's, don't know why I did it, but I did it. Ohio Valley.
I have Morehead State.
I'll quit doing podcasting forever if Belmont doesn't win this tournament. The Patriot.
Oh man. Colgate.
It was a joke anyway. I'm not
gonna fresh and so clean Colgate.
I'm taking Colgate as well.
Of course you are, even though you hate them.
I almost said the Colgate Conference, the SoCon.
Wofford.
I'm also taking Wofford. The Summit.
North Dakota State.
Give me South Dakota State. South Dakota, a far superior state.
Rivalry.
North Dakota. Sunbelt.
Coastal Carolina, obviously.
I'm taking South Alabama, who needs to win like 7 games to get to the championship. The West Coast Conference.
Gonzaga.
Give me Portland, right? No. Gonzaga is going to win that tournament. Portland, the 330th ranked team on KenPom, I believe, by the way. So there's that. All right. That'll do it for us. This was hour 41. Last year we had an episode that was an hour 41. This one's about to hit an hour 42. I just forgot about Mick Vick's picks. So do we have any of those?
Yeah, he sent me 2. He said, thanks for showing me the lines because he wanted to bet Oklahoma is 1.5 point favorite. He's going with Oklahoma. And he initially said Miami and all the points. And then he said, check that, scratch it. He said, looks like Miami's given up. Give me Virginia minus 14.5.
Virginia pick's a risky one because they've been so bad, and them covering that big of a number.
He thinks that Miami is done for the year, and I can see that.
I agree.
There's a lot more fun things to do in Miami than play basketball. So,
and they have no chance to do anything. But I'll tell you this: we could have said that about Miami when they played Duke a couple weeks ago, with 3 or 4 starters out, and they beat Duke. So
he also said that he would not bet that game, but that was the other game that I gave him.
That's such a big number.
Yeah.
And another thing that I wanted to say about the other game is that I agree Oklahoma is the pick there because they've lost 2 in a row. They lost to Kansas State. They need this game.
They need a dub. Definitely.
Let me just see. Let's look at other lines, just to throw something out there. St. Bonaventure 7.5 over Dayton. What do you think about that?
I think they'll cover.
I don't know if they'll cover that. Dayton is good for a good game. Like in a regular week, Dayton playing 2 games. They'll have a really good game and a really bad game. Now, which game is that going to be? We'll find out. St. Louis is 10.5 over UMass. UMass just hasn't played very many games. That's kind of their problem. I don't know about St. Louis covering that. I mean, they probably will just because they're desperate, but
yeah, it's a lot of points.
Little Big South tournament line for you. Campbell is a 1-point favorite against Gardner Webb. Campbell went 11-6 in the Big South.
Suit.
Gardner Webb went 10-10.
Who's the favorite?
Campbell is a 1-point favorite.
Oh, obviously taking them.
I would take Gardner Webb plus the 1. Rutgers is 8-point favorite over Nebraska.
1?
Yeah, 8.
8. Oh, at Rutgers?
At Nebraska.
I'll take Rutgers.
North Carolina minus 2.5 at Syracuse.
I'll take North Carolina.
Oregon minus 4.5 at home against Arizona. I like Oregon.
I'll take Arizona.
You're going to take those scumbags?
Yep, just so I can hear you say that.
I hate them. I hope Illinois actually starts a home-and-home with them next year and just kills them because they were supposed to start that this year. But I digress. All right. That's going to do it for us. Hour 45. This will probably be the longest episode of this, unless we go really, 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 really deep into the bracket, which might happen.
we haven't had a bracket one, but
Yeah, we had a fake one.
and we're gonna have to figure out how to do that one because I'm not gonna be here.
That's the way she goes. All right. We'll be back with this next Monday, and then we will be back with our Illini one tomorrow. So
yeah, come check that out.
if you hate Illinois, you can too, because that's all the people that check.
That's the only people that show up. We'll probably have a watch party on Saturday, right?
It's a risky one.
Who cares? It's the last game of the season. We have to.
We had one for Ohio State the first time they lost. So
True.
all right.
Cancel it.
Yeah, we'll see. That'll do it for this.